Well, here we go with Max Lavo's shtfplan.com. What a crap hits the fan plan.com. Gotta love it. But he's got an interesting article, and when I come across one that's worthy, of course, I've got to give it a plug. It's mandatory. Americans worry about hunger and homelessness as income drops and jobs dry up. And if you're new to my show here, I'm not sure if this is news to you or not, but the amount of stuff I've been talking about over the years, and especially this year, is really, really, really pointing out we got some problems. And I don't think there's a chance in the world, the universe, or the superverse that Trump is going to be able to solve by himself. He has been handed a stinking pile of crap, epic proportions, and he's trying to make deals. We're going to lower taxes, and hey, I'm all for that because that affects all of us. Lower taxes for businesses and whatnot. That's fantastic. Lessen the regulation. There's nonsense. Let people freaking work and make money. Great. But I think it's far too little. Not even far too little. It's just too late. No one says too little, too late. It's not even too little. It's a decent amount of stuff. So it's not little too late. It's more like a far too decent too late. I'm going to coin a new phrase. But it's just too late. It's like the numbers are in. Have a nice day. It's too late. While those at the top of the heap, like I was just talking in my last video, these CEOs of these banks, 100 million, 200 million, giant golden parachutes, stock options with the company, Jamie Dimon and Lloyd Blankfein of JP Morgan, Chase, and Goldman Sachs, respectively. Billionaires now. First time they became billionaires. And as Lloyd said, they're doing God's work. They're doing God's work. And when they make a mistake, the citizens take care of them. Make sure they get that golden parachute even higher via banker bailout. Anyways, while those at the top of the heap are getting richer than ever, millions upon millions of Americans are struggling more than ever before. As a general institution, jobs for the masses increasingly feature frozen wages, evaporating benefits, part-time hours, and less than stellar opportunities. For these people, just getting by can be very stressful, and that is being reflected in a big way in a recent Gallup poll that has captured unprecedented levels of concern among lower-income people who are statistically terrified of losing their grip. And he quotes a piece from Wolf Street, which I love going to that guy's site, Wolf Richter. But he says, again, lower-income Americans worry more in general than those with higher incomes. I mean, obviously, right? Everything is riskier and tougher for them, but nothing compares to the worries about hunger and homelessness. And according to Gallup, since 2001, worry has been highest among those residing in lower income households, likely because those with limited financial resources are more at risk of going hungry or becoming homeless. A consistent majority of lower income adults worried about the problem before 2012, but that has only increased higher now in the past 5 years. On average, across the 13 issues, the percentage of lower income adults who worry a great deal is 7 percentage points higher than among middle income Americans and 17 points higher than among upper income Americans. But differences in concern about hunger and homelessness far exceed those norms. In fact, the 20-point difference in worry about hunger and homelessness between lower income and middle income Americans is higher than for any of the other issues. Similarly, the 30-point difference in worry about hunger and homelessness between lower income and upper income Americans ties for the highest, along with concern about crime and violence. Turns out, among Americans making $30,000 a year or less, out of them, 67% of them worry a great deal about hunger and homelessness. Food and shelter, two of the most basic human needs. That's the highest percentage ever in Gallup's data series on this question going back to 2001. I thought we've been in recovery mode all these years. Obama came in, he saved the day, immediately got a Nobel Peace Prize for doing what? I'm not really sure. Got a Peace Prize. Kept boasting about the unemployment's going down, it's going down, it's going down, it's under 5%, this is great. Yet if you listen to me every day with the data that I present you, this isn't made up data, this isn't fantasy, this is real data, you would ask yourself very seriously, how in the hell are we at 5% unemployment, which is, a decent number, sub 5% or whatever. How are we even there? And the answer is we're not. They stop counting people who quit looking for a job, just give up. They don't count them anymore. So the statistics say, oh, we're doing good. Well, how many people have given up? Decided I quit. And then, of course, the other side of this is, oh, you work part-time? You count for someone working. Well, what if I only make 12 hours, like my mom, by the way, 12 hours a week, 15 hours a week? My mother-in-law, same situation. Why do they get counted as, two of them combined is still extremely part-time work. So, but those two get counted as, oh, no, we're not, no, they're employed. That's all that matters. They're employed. And again, I'll have you look at food stamp usage. It's somewhere near 45, 46 million. It used to be, prior to 2008, somewhere around 24 million. So again, you could say that's practically doubled since the recession. Right after the recession took place, it happened and stayed. Hasn't gone away. These things have to come down in a recovery, right? But again, as I always say, the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer, and they're becoming extremely worried. How am I going to afford to live? When I come out here almost daily now and tell you some new story, some new article about, oh my God, the rental prices are out of control, the housing prices are out of control right now. That's the number one thing people have to afford, be able to afford, is a house. Then comes the other stuff, food, etc. And then comes, am I even allowed to have cable, or am I too poor to afford it? Because cable these days is outrageous too. Cable TV, high-speed internet, just other things. That's the least thing on their mind. So if we're in recovery and everything's fine, and matter of fact, Donald Trump's here and everybody's happy, how did this new poll show that it's actually worse than 2001 and steadily getting worse? Doesn't make sense, does it? That's because, I'm going to give you a little hint here. You've been freaking lied to your entire life. Every time you turned on that TV, no matter what news channel you saw, you're being lied to. You're currently being lied to about this crap they're saying that just happened in Syria. The president of Assad attacked his own people with chemical weapons. I saw a video today of one of these little girls. Oh, one of the dead. And when they panned the camera back to her, her eye was opened. But right before that, the eye was closed. So I had to upload one of my favorite videos that I downloaded and saved. And I'm not sure, it might have been in Iraq. I don't remember where this one was filmed. And it's a security camera footage. And it sees the guy walk over to a beat-up, destroyed car, like the front end's missing, put something inside, goes back to his vehicle with someone else driving, and they take off. A few moments later, the thing explodes because you set a bomb in there. And then a few seconds later, you see a van, rush onto the scene. People get out of the thing and jump all over the ground like they're injured. And then another one comes and they come to help them up like all these people are injured. You are being lied to. And most people can't even see it. They don't even understand. Go back to 1990. Remember the first Gulf War? And there's a little girl, you can look it up on YouTube. Gulf War incubator babies. That's all you got to search for. And you will see the story where the little girl came from Kuwait. The Iraqi troops came and they took the babies out of the incubators and left them on the floor to die and took the incubators away. 15-year-old girl. Who is she? Well, we don't want to say for fear of reprisal to her or her family. Okay. But you were at the Kuwaiti hospital? Yes. 6 months later, that story was made up. Oh, who's the girl? The ambassador to the U.S. to Kuwait. Daughter or niece or something. She was coached. It never happened. It was a lie. But we had already leveled Iraq in 2 weeks. It was already over with. And what was the story that she said? Babies. They took the babies out of the incubators. Let them on the floor to die. Left them on the floor. What are we hearing now? Babies, children, chemical attack. Oh my God. You are being lied to. Most people can't even recognize it. But I had to upload that video, the fake bombing thing where the people ran outside and laid on the ground, on a massive Twitter feed where people were posting similar things, images saying, oh, here's the guy they pulled out that broke his legs in the bombing attack in Syria. Here's him posing with the two fake guys that were rescuing him. And here's them. They called it, the thing called the mannequin challenge, where, someone comes around you with a camera and everybody stays completely freeze frame still. And they're doing that. The guy with the camera is walking around them and they're just sitting there. And then I guess someone in the background says, okay, go, like, live. And then they grab him. He starts screaming, oh, my legs, in Arabic. You are being lied to so bad. And all these videos are out there, and imagery now is out there to prove it. And there's another one where they use the same little girl in 3 different episodes, if you will, of different attacks at different times in Syria, not that long ago. And it's the same girl they show with the rescuers carrying her lifeless body in their arms. 3 different episodes, 3 different time frames, same little girl. So, not even going to cover that right now. But point being, boy, if they're willing to do that to lie to us, to bring us to war, and they're really beating those drums right now. In 2017, just so happens to, on the war cycle, going back decades, is the year of we might go to war. What are the chances that something that goes back decades can pinpoint and say 2017 is a really strong year for another war to break out? And all of a sudden, North Korea is in our faces. Now Assad in Syria, chemical weapon nonsense is in our faces. We're ready to go. All by chance, there's just an enemy always on standby, so that when I can go back decades and say this was however many decades ago, the last war, and this was, oh, by the way, and 15 years from now, there should be one in 2017. And then 2017 comes, and oh my gosh, we've got North Korea. We need to go after them. We've got Syria. And all of a sudden, I read that John Warmonger McCain, senator, all of a sudden was real happy and excited with Trump. He's hated him this whole time. Fought against him this whole time, basically. And now that Trump made some comments about these poor children getting, hit with this gas and stuff, chemical weapons. And that's another thing. Oh, the government bombed a chemical weapons factory. They did? Wait a minute, didn't we hear that in Iraq too? That the government hit the chemical factory and, oh, that's right. Isn't this amazing? Not only do they give you the crap and the lies that they've used in the past, they show you the same imagery, different people, same storyline, and then the same exact motive, which wasn't just someone using chemical weapons on somebody, weapons of mass destruction. They hit the factory that makes them. Why were they even making them? They shouldn't have been allowed to. That's against the UN rules, It is a lie. So if you think if they're willing to do that kind of lie to that extent and present it to you on your mainstream media, CNN covering it flawlessly, of course, CNN, do you think they might fudge some economic numbers? And Gerald Celente, trends forecaster extraordinaire, says what? Always. When they fudge the numbers as far as they can fudge them, when they've done all the tricks in their little trick bag that they can do, and they can't do it anymore, and the real truth starts coming out, and real problems with the economy start showing up, and they can't fake it anymore, they take you to war, is what he says. He's been saying it for years. Once again, what are the chances that we're gearing up now as I'm getting flooded these last 4 months now, with information and data saying this isn't looking good. The retail apocalypse is taking place. Sears, goodbye. This one, goodbye. Next one, goodbye. I'm covering it daily. Oh, well, it's just because Amazon's growing so big. Wait a minute, we've got the numbers on just how much retail Amazon does, actually. Believe it or not, retail stores outdo and every year now have outdone Amazon. Why are they closing left and right then? Doesn't make sense, does it? That's because you're being lied to with these fake numbers. So anyways, obviously everyone already knows that poor people struggle more than well-off people whose needs are easily provided. The unknown here is why those who are making less than $30,000 a year are so much more worried about hunger, homelessness, and just the basics than they were 15 years ago. Moreover, why are the middle class people making a healthy 30 to 75K also more worried than they have been about personally being homeless and hungry? So now we have a group higher than the poor who are all of a sudden becoming worried. I wonder if it's their massive rent or, payments on everything. Car loans, again, 2008, I gave you the data. I said it. Look, here's the data. 2008, you could buy a brand new pickup truck, about roughly $28,000. Fast forward to today and last year, so we'll call it 2016 because it was there too, 8 years later, and that $28,000 truck is now selling for between $50,000 and $55,000. And they want the same person making the same, and actually, if you look at my stats with inflation included, you're making less wages. Wages aren't keeping up like they should. You're making less wages now, inflation adjusted, than you were back in early 2000s. But they want you to still buy that damn truck. We need blood. We need you to buy this truck. We're dying over here. It's not just a retail apocalypse, it's the auto apocalypse. So what are we going to offer you? 60 month, which is a 5-year? No. 7 month. 6 month. Year. 6 year. 7 year. They even have 8 year now. You can go up to 80 months. You need an 80-month loan? What do you need? Can you imagine 80 plus? Owning a freaking car for that long and making the damn payment forever and forever and forever like that. Now I can see why 1/3 of all auto sales are actually leases. And like I said, I was talking to my dad the other day. He's like, you see these commercials? $169 a month. Lease a car for 3 years. He's like, you know what that would cost you to buy the car? $400-something a month easily. And that's higher than the 5-year. That's like a 6 or 7 year loan. $350, $400 a month. Oh, you could lease it for 3 years. Of course, you never get to own it. The name of the game is perpetual debt. We need everybody to be in debt. Don't pay off your credit cards. Just keep piling it on, which is another interesting statistic. More people are in debt now with higher amounts than ever before. But that's another story for another day. So anyways, this newer middle class, if you will, or higher level than the poor, the next step up, 30K to 75K income, are also now more worried about being homeless and hungry. What has changed? Lower income Americans' concern about hunger and homelessness is high and increasing. There's a little chart here, but it doesn't really matter. I'm not going to show it to you. Though it is hard to pinpoint, there has been a squeeze on the economy. Somewhere out there, there's a monster. The glut of money created to give the banks liquidity, bailouts, Federal Reserve, $4.5 trillion on its balance sheet, etc., was reinvested back into government bonds and companies' own stocks. Investment did not generally trickle down to the working man. Jobs weren't created, and a recovery never happened. And many people are on the brink of losing everything. Obviously, many of those making at or under $30,000 a year are finding it pretty difficult to make it through. The disillusionment hasn't helped. Even with an expanded SNAP government food aid program, people are more freaked out than they are or have ever been about how food is going to be put on their table and about how they are going to keep a roof over their head. The level of worry here is frightening enough in of itself. As Wolf Richter asked, is there some particular reason why things have suddenly gotten a lot riskier, scarier, and uglier in some profound ways for lower income Americans, those making 30K a year or less? Yeah, the answer is everybody's been lied to. We've had sub 2% GDP growth for years now. Years. That's terrible. I keep saying this stat over and over. It takes $4 of new debt creation in the United States to produce $1 positive dollar in gross domestic product, GDP. That cannot work. That's a mathematical certainty that our days are numbered. It's the equivalent of you making $500 a week, but you've got 4 times that amount in debt. And no matter how much more you make a week, it doesn't matter, because it barely creeps up. While somehow the debt cycle or the debt side of that keeps up even higher. So it may have been 2 to 1, 2 debt to $1 at one point. Then it was 3 to 1. Now it's 4 to 1. Oh, but I'm making $800 a week now, in this little analogy example. Well, that's okay. The debt's now 5, 6 times, $6 till your one created. So it doesn't matter what you make. I haven't even gotten on the unfunded liabilities, Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, all the stuff that they just keep off book, basically. We don't want to show that stat. We don't even want to look at it. We're here arguing over $20 trillion in debt, and Donald Trump wants to add another trillion to the debt. We can't do that for, infrastructure rebuilding, and he wants to spend $56 billion more on the war, the war budget, basically, the Defense Department. And isn't that amazing? First thing he comes out as president, we need 56 or 65, what it was, $1 billion more than the normal, would be the highest ever. And then all of a sudden, 3 months later, 3 months later, oh gosh, North Korea's in the spotlight again. Oh my goodness, Assad and Syria back in the spotlight all of a sudden. That's right. What did I tell you years ago? And I've never, ever, and I will never change this. The military-industrial complex, the defense budget, no matter who comes up, we're gonna cut the budget. They will never experience any budget cuts for the military-industrial complex. And as soon as they see anything coming up, that may affect us, guess what happens? Breaking news, Assad today is fired on his people, his little babies and children. What's that? Let's raise the defense budget. We're going to have to go over there. Hook, line, and sinker. It happens every flipping time. And most people buy it. Listen to the radio today on the way to work. I almost had to turn it off. I was getting so upset with this guy on the AM channels I always listen to, where he's saying, Donald needs to go over there and take care of Assad in Syria. He really needs to do this. These poor children. I'm thinking, you moron. You don't even know. Give me a freaking phone number so I can call right now. But on the way home, enough people had gotten to the guy and said, through Twitter and email, look at this video. This is staged. This girl's alive. She's faking it. Enough people got to him that he had to make an announcement. Like, look, I know I've said this, and I know that's what everyone's seeing and the experts, but I gotta tell you, I've gotten a lot of emails, a lot of tweets to me about this. It looks like it's fake. It was some kind of inside job thing that they made to look real. And I've looked at it, and I really don't know what to think right now. And so they got to him. Fantastic. Expose these criminals and their fake crap to make us go to war like they always do. But I got a question. If we don't go to war, even though the war cycle says it's here, and by chance, because of everyone flooding all these news media personalities and saying, look, this is fake. And by the way, it was either a congressman, House or senator, congressman or senator, came out, was on the news with CNN, and basically said, we don't know if this was real. We're not sure yet. Like, flat out told them this might not even be a real event. It wasn't Assad. And the lady just stood there with her mouth just sitting there, like, looking at him like, it was a Skype kind of thing or whatever, but it was like, didn't know how to respond, couldn't do nothing but make her stupid, silly face. This is not how this is supposed to go. You're supposed to tell us that we need more money for the war budget. We're about to go kick his butt. That's what she was probably thinking. So a senator or congressman called him out. Ron Paul, former congressman and, presidential candidate, came out immediately and very vocally. This is not real. I don't believe it. I don't even believe this. So if all other times we went to war to help pull the economy up, and this time they can't pull it off because the lies have been exposed immediately, what's going to happen to the economy? Whatever was going to happen may not happen. And whatever was going to happen, I can tell you, wouldn't have been anything good anyways, because we got too much debt. There's too many bubbles that the Federal Reserve has inflated. They're raising interest rates, which are going to cause housing to crash prices. Rents are already too high, as you know. Again, back when this first issue happened, we just had this little housing problem that led into this thing with the too big to fails. Now we have everything included. Auto loans, credit card debt, 1.3 trillion in student loan debt, massive mortgage debt. The numbers we saw back in 2008 of debt and this and that, they've expanded massively. So when this baby goes, I hope to God you got your precious metals on standby because you're going to need them. Take care.